welcome back to another round of League One predictions here at Very Biased Opinions. We didn't have last week because of the international break and because Sunderland ran scared of Oxford. They didn't have a game, but we are back for this week's round of predictions. A very quick shout out to the people that gave predictions for the last rounds of fixtures, including the SCP podcast, the Football Crazy podcast, the ever reliable Manish Thapar, and Robert Allen. Thank you to the three of you. Let's try and have some more for this week. If you can give your score predictions below, that would be great. We'll give you a shout out in next week's video. You're probably almost certainly bound to beat myself and Thomas, or just me in this case, because Tom couldn't be bothered to show up. We had joint winners. The Football Crazy podcast and Manish Thapar both got a very impressive 12 points, 3 correct scores for the Football Crazy podcast. Both of these guys got the Oxford score bang on, as did I, by the way, so well done. Manish Thapar, 2 correct scores and a whole host of correct forecasts, so they both did unbelievably well. Well done to you. You have to share the prize fund of £0 and 0 pence between the two of you, but without wasting any more time, we're going to jump straight in to this round of League One predictions. We're going to start with Gillingham versus Sunderland.
Yeah, so Gillingham are coming off 2 straight 2-0 losses. They did actually play this last weekend, but both losses were teams you wouldn't have expected them to beat. They've lost to Wigan, they've lost to Wycombe Wanderers, 2 sides that we think will be in with a shout of promotion this year anyway. Sunderland currently sit in the top 4. They have one of the best defences in the league. They are still drawing stupid games, but they've gotten 10 points from the last 15 available. They're still on pretty good form. Obviously, Sunderland fans are going nuts because a week and a half ago they were top of the table and now they're down in 4th. But both sides above them have played more games. This Sunderland side look the real deal and looks like they might actually get promoted this year.
Poppycock and rubbish. They lost 4-0 to Pompey, Thomas, and then they pretended they had international players so they didn't have to play Oxford the next week to take an absolute hiding. I can only look towards the gills in this one because of Sunderland being a bunch of cowards. That's right. Come at me in the comments. 2-0 Gillingham.
You're an actual nutcase. 2-0 Sunderland.
Bolton Wanderers versus Wigan.
So Bolton lost to Sheffield United this last weekend, Ian, which is really not great for them.
Oh, fucking hell, I tell you. He does it on purpose. He does it on purpose.
What?
Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
We're not cutting. That's going in. That is
I'm
going
sure
in.
it is. I'm sure
People
it is.
need to know how little you care.
Well, Wigan are in 3rd place, so I think we can all assume that Wigan are probably going to win this game. Maybe. I'm going for a Wigan victory.
It will be an interesting one. Put it that way. Wigan have been really good. Bolton are a bit swashbuckling. You know, they're very entertaining side to watch. They can just come a little bit unstuck. I heard it was kind of a win for Wednesday, but one of those ones where no one's really too sure how they won. And I think Bolton will put in a good showing here, and I'm actually going to go for a high-scoring draw. I'm going to go for a Desmond Thomas, 2-2.
Deuces. I'm going to go for a 3-2 Wigan Athletic victory. Doncaster Rovers, or Bells, versus Wycombe Wanderers.
Second in the table, the Chairboys, after a very easy, cut-and-dry home win this weekend. Doncaster, look, they've struggled, but they did get a win last time out, so they'll be hoping that is like the kind of baby steps towards building to get out of move away from the relegation zone, have a bit of a better season than what they're looking at the moment. But it's very hard to not see Wycombe go in there and doing a job on them, really, isn't it? It's very hard to see Wycombe not getting a goal early and just clamming up and making it a really hard game. And let's not forget, Wycombe are pretty versatile.
4-3.
4-3 game
4-3.
against
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Unreal.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for a Wycombe win. I know we've got Wycombe fans who do follow this channel and they are giddy with delight. Mr. Hereth.
Jonathan Hereth.
Yes. That we always pick Wycombe to win. So I'm going to go for the Bells 1, the Wanderers 2.
I go for a 1-0 victory to Wycombe. I don't like the Bells. Although, I always forget this, Ian. All the teams at the bottom of the table after 6 weeks seem to just start changing around now. This is that point in the season where it just becomes musical chairs at the bottom.
Rotherham United versus Portsmouth.
Yeah, so Rotherham on a really good run of form where they were outside the promotion places and their fans, including on a live chat with us, were not feeling particularly great about it. They've moved up to 5th. They're only 3 points off the top of the table, so a win would theoretically put them top, assuming no one else wins around them. Really good kind of... It's a good start at the end of the day. We're only, 10 games in. They're sitting 5th. You'd be happy with that. I mean, I think we had them in the playoff places. Pompey, on the other hand, huge victory over Sunderland, but that hasn't really helped them out a huge amount because they still sit 12th from the table after an awful start to the year.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't play in the weekend just gone, and they'll be hoping that they can build on that 4-0 win. I mean, you can't give yourself a better platform than beating the biggest named club in the league by 4-0. Absolutely smashed them out of sight. I'm still not convinced with the Cowleys. I say it every week. I think this will be if Portsmouth can go up to the New York Stadium and beat Rotherham, then I will start to give them a lot more credit. But I don't think they will, and I'm going to back the Millers to get a win. I think it'll be Rotherham 2, Portsmouth 1.
I think it's going to be 2-0. Just not sold on Pompey this year. Not sold on the Cowley brothers. I was actually had a drink with a Sunderland supporter on Friday night, and even he was like, freak result, freak 4-0 loss. Not convinced by the Cowley brothers, and I was like, oh,
and I'd just like to apologise to everybody because we forgot to call them the Temple Cowley brothers.
Apologies. Shrewsbury Town versus Milton Keynes Dons.
I feel MK Dons have slipped back into the kind of inconsistent mode again. You know, they were riding high a couple of weeks ago, and I feel they just sort of tailed off a little bit. A couple of not so great results. Shrewsbury have been poor, so MK Dons will look at this one as a not a banker, but a good opportunity to get back to winning ways. Tough one, really. I don't really see Shrewsbury doing much at all. I could see MK Dons should get a nice, easy, comfortable win here. I'm going for a 2-0 Dons win, Tom.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory here for the Dons. Definitely much better than the Shrewsbury side, who are down in the relegation zone, and for good reason. They're just not playing good football right now. MK Dons. But same story for about 3 years, isn't it? Possess the hell out of the ball and then just lose games for no apparent reason.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's it. You need to break us off here. It is the halfway point, so I must go out of my way to thank everyone that follows us on Patreon. If you enjoy this channel, outside of liking, commenting, and subscribing, which we really hope you do, please consider supporting us on Patreon. It's for as little as £3 a month. Thank you to JP Morgan, PJ Morgan, Robert Allen, Christina Allen, and Matthew Bowden, and everyone else that follows
and
us.
PJ Simpson.
And PJ Simpson and JP Morgan, and
Okay.
the crowd of these human beings. But yeah, thank you all for following us. And if you've got the time, if you enjoy betting on sports specifically, go over to Grandstand Bettors. They're a fantastic tipster website. They've been with us since the beginning, supporting us. We are supporting them. Sometimes we even do collaborations with them. But that's enough. It's time to move on to Cheltenham Town versus Accrington Stanley.
A curse, Thomas. A curse on one of these clubs. It seems to be the old-fashioned Oxford United curse is haunting Cheltenham, and it's hung over the lovely market
Stanley
town
Woods.
like a bad smell, and they just haven't been able to get anything since they, I'm going to go out and say it, robbed Oxford a couple of weeks ago. And little old Aki, it's a prize time to play them, and I think they're going to get a win here, Tom. I don't know about you.
Wait, you think Cheltenham's going to get a win or Aki's going to get a win?
I think Aki, good time to go to Cheltenham.
Yeah, I'm just giving my scores 2-0 to Accrington. We know I love my boys from Accrington, and they're due another victory. They've only won one in the last 5. They're still playing.
I like it. I think Cheltenham will get a goal, though. 2-1.
2-1. AFC Wimbledon versus Sheffield Wednesday, or United, if you just can't remember.
What scenes there were in Hillsborough only a couple of week and a half ago, and who would have thought that Oxford would have played both of these sides away from home, and it was Wednesday the side that we beat and Wimbledon the side that we crumbled against. But a fantastic away victory. Obviously, myself and Thomas went. You can see our video we did on it in the top corner. I think we did a pretty fair review, as we always do after the game. And I think it's fair to say, and after living in Sheffield and working around a few Wednesday fans, there's not a lot of love for Darren Moore at the moment. There's a lot of people think he's. I think that the word generally was, "It shines." I don't know why they're Manchester accents, but there you go. And it wasn't a very good Wednesday performance. They looked very turgid against Oxford. It took them a while to get going. It seemed like they didn't know what the plan was. There's a lot of criticism about Darren Moore tinkering the team too much. It seemed like they got a bit lucky in the win against Bolton as well. Despite us thinking Barry Bannon looked really good, apparently he's a bit of a pariah figure for Sheffield Wednesday as well. They don't really like him too much. So it's not going too well for them. But
they're only a point off the playoffs. Like, we're 10 games in, they're a point off the playoffs. Like, this is the definition of just fans massively overreacting. 10 games.
25 years of what they call rubbish is just pent up anger that gets vented at every bad performance. But I will just say one thing. I don't know how many Wednesday fans will watch this, but Oxford's time wasting was pretty bad in the game against Wednesday. And for any Oxford fans that don't think we time waste, that is a prime example.
Corner flag in the first half was probably the most frustrated I've ever been. We were cheering for him, and then they got a corner in like the 47th minute, and they put it in the corner, and you're like, are you serious?
And for me, it was Jack Stevens pretending to not know where the ball was that really just got me. But Oxford's time wasting was really bad. So don't ever complain about a Wycombe or a Gillingham or anything like that, because we do it too. And Sheffield Wednesday, you do it too, and don't pretend that you don't. If you've gone to clubs that you think you're big, not as that are bigger clubs than you, I should say, and that you haven't time wasted in the past, because everybody bloody does it, and we'll see if you do it if you're leading against us at the Kassam Stadium, won't we? But yeah. And Wimbledon are also playing in this game, and it will be a tough game. And I think Wimbledon might get a draw, 1-1.
I'm going to go 2-1 to Sheffield Wednesday. I'll live to regret that decision. But Ian, we move on. Cambridge United versus Ipswich Town.
I feel Ipswich are just getting there now, aren't they? I feel they're just turning a corner ever so slightly.
10 points, is it, in the last 5 games? It's a pretty good haul. Which means they were at 3 after 6 games, which is a pretty terrible actual start.
Yeah, they did have a terrible start, and I talked about it. It was almost like they were finding ways to lose or draw games that were like impossible. But it seems to have they seem to have hit rock bottom, and they've turned around from that now. And Cambridge, a lot of the hype and excitement about starting the season in League One might have just waned a little bit, and I think the performances have dipped a little bit. I'm not sure if they've got injuries, but they don't seem to be quite as good as they were when they started the season. And I think that Ipswich should. It's relatively pretty much a derby. It's not very much distance between the two clubs. So I think Ipswich will win this game. I'm going to go for a pretty good win for Ipswich here. I think they'll win by 3. I think it'll be a 3-0 win for Ipswich. I'm going for.
I'm going to go for a 2-0 win, but definitely see them scoring more. They're already tied for the top scorers in the league. They were just conceding way too many goals, but that's going to stop. They're going to win 2-0 Ipswich.
Lincoln City versus Charlton Athletic.
That's right, Lincoln City. Last year, a side we thought would get promoted, currently sit down in 17th place. They're taking on a Carlton side who are equally probably unhappy about their current league position. Ian, how do you think this game's going to go?
Yeah, both of them have been a real mixed bag, haven't they? It's
show.
Very, very, very hard to pick it. I mean, the one thing Lincoln will say is they have got goals in the side through Anthony Scully, so they've always got a chance, and they seem to be better at home than they are on the road, so they'll be hoping they can get something out of this one. Charlton just seem to be getting maybe a little bit better under Nigel Atkins, but it does seem to be often 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Desmond, let's go even bigger, let's go bigger. 3 or draw.
I'm going for a 1-0 Lincoln win. Ian, how long does it take Nigel Atkins to get fired here? 11 games, you're in the relegation zone with probably a side that was supposed to be top 4 coming into the year. You're conceding tons of goals. You're not scoring many. You've only won in your last 5. The fact he's lost at 11 games, that wouldn't happen in the Premier League. He'd have been sacked really quickly. So how long do you think he's given?
Interesting, isn't it? I think he'll get a bit more time.
They've won 2 games.
I think he'll get a bit more time. I think maybe if the form hasn't picked up towards the start of November, so maybe like 2 or 3 more weeks, I think that you could see a managerial change there.
Fleetwood Town versus Crewe.
Not really got too much to say about this one. I'll be really surprised if Crewe got anything out of this trip to Fleetwood. I just think Fleetwood have become a harder side to beat, despite them not having a great result last time out. But generally, I think they've been on an okay sort of undefeated run until that, and I think they'll just eke this very dull and boring game. And if you're anywhere around that area, avoid it like the plague, because it will take years off your soul. 1-0 to the Cod Army.
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. This is not going to be a classic. And we move on to one of the highest scorers in the league versus my boys. It's Burton Albion versus Morecambe. Morecambe.
Have been very entertaining sides.
Oh my God.
I think they're probably still rubbing their eyes in disbelief at the game they had with Wycombe, how they managed to lose that game. But the one thing they will be excited about is the fact they've got a goal scorer. And we talked about him before, but Stockton is sticking the ball in the back of the net with a lot of regularity. And while you've got a goal scorer, you've always got hope of winning games and staying in the league.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the areas where Burton have really struggled this season, is scoring goals. I think they've been pretty solid, as you'd expect, but they're just not sticking the ball away. And I think this one will be tight, but I just think Burton will nick it. I think this will be another very tight and frustrating game for Morecambe, and I think Burton will just edge it by 2-1.
3-2 to the Burton.
I think I speak for everybody where I say, who cares what you think when we're so close to the end of this video and we're so close to the only game that matters. That is right. The league leaders are in town, Tom. It's time for the main event.
Oxford United versus Plymouth Green Army Argyle.
Well, let's just hope that Plymouth have got the guts to come and face us, unlike Sunderland, who had no guts and didn't want to face us. But the league leaders, the Green Army, do come to the Kassam Stadium. I feel that Oxford have done quite well over Plymouth at the Kassam in recent years, so I'm hoping that home form continues. Of course, we're hoping that the good form carries on after that fantastic 2-1 win over Sheffield Wednesday. And let's not even talk about the strong side that was fielded in the Pizza World Championship against Stevenage, where we lost 2-1. Let's pretend that never happened. But the home form has been good for Oxford United. We were unbeaten in, I think, 4 wins, 2 draws at the Kassam so far. So very, very good home form. Look, Plymouth have got a good side, and they're very well managed by Ryan Lowe. He did a good job last season. He certainly built on that. And up front, they've got dangerous players. Like, we talk every week about Jeff Cott. Wish Oxford would have signed him. They probably couldn't afford him. The dangerous Ryan Hardy is scoring goals for them as well. So it isn't going to be easy, but Oxford do look a really good side. And I'm going to let you talk about what you thought about Oxford again in that game against Wednesday, because the likes of Herbie Kane looked really good. They looked a bit stronger at the back. Taylor looked good. And I think Oxford are going to be good for a 3-1 win here, Tom.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw here. I think Plymouth are playing quite well. They're not conceding a lot of goals. Neither are Oxford. Oxford looked really good against Wednesday. I mean, if they could have just put the ball in the back of the net when they create the chances, they should have won 3 or 4-0. Admittedly, they also probably should have given away a penalty, but God knows what the referee was thinking there. But they looked really good. And you know what? James Henry being able to come off the bench and score a winner, that has a huge amount of meaning to how strong this Oxford side are looking this season, that James Henry can come off the bench and give that sort of contribution. Because normally you'd say if he wasn't playing that they were in trouble. But they played really well. They deserved the victory. Obviously, we were right behind the goal when it went in. It's fantastic. Great result. Oxford are looking decent this year. They're right below the playoffs. I think this is kind of where we thought they'd be anyway. They're going to be battling. It may come down to the final day of the season, but Plymouth are on such good form. I've got a 1-1 draw.
On that bombshell and that very disappointing, tepid draw that Thomas just did, it must bring this video to an end. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you didn't like it, hit the downvote button. You don't really care. And
we'll
also
take whatever you'll give us.
Yes. Subscribe to the channel as well if you like the content, and hit the notify bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Also, give your comments down below and give your score predictions down below, and we'll give you a shout out on next week's video. Thanks to all the Patreon backers once again. Thanks to Grandstand Betters. And I don't think there's anything more to say, and we will see you very soon for another video.